order. Honorable members, I have one announcement to make, and this is that, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that the Population Council of Zambia, in conjunction with the World Health Organization and the Partnership for Maternal, Newborns and Child Health, has been authorized to hold a half-day seminar for all the honorable members. The seminar will be held on Wednesday, 22nd February 2023, under the theme, The Role of Parliamentarians in Improving Women, Children and Adolescent Health, including Nutrition. The seminar will be held in the auditorium here at Main Parliament Buildings, starting at 8:30 hours. All honorable members are requested to attend the seminar and to observe punctuality. I thank you. Business statement, Her Honor the Vice President.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the House Business Committee met on Thursday, 9th February 2023, to determine and schedule business of the House for the period 21st February to 3rd March 2023. Accordingly, the committee resolved to lay before the House the following business for consideration. A. Announcements. The Honorable Madam Speaker may make an announcement to the House on any day when it is necessary to do so. B. Rulings. The Honorable Madam Speaker may render rulings if there will be any. C. The Presidential Address. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, will, on Friday, 24th February 2023, address the House on the progress made in the application of the national values and principles contained in the Constitution. D. Ministerial statements. The ministerial statements hereunder will be rendered. Any other ministerial statement of urgent situation may also be rendered. But for now, Madam Speaker, the Vice President will issue a ministerial statement on the subject matter that tracks Marundo Nkitwe Chingola dual carriageway between Chambeshi and Chingola. Will be issued on the 21st of February 2023. The Minister of Local Government will also issue a ministerial statement on the status of contracts for rehabilitation of feeder roads countrywide. This will be on the 22nd February 2023. E. Motions. The following honorable members will present motions during the period. Her Honor, the Vice President, will move a motion on suspension of standing orders on 23rd February 2023. And there will be another motion on thanks that will be moved on 28th February 2023. 3. Mr. Esichanda will move a motion to promote countrywide breeding of Niloticus tilapia. This will be on the 22nd of February 2023. 4. Mr. Sika Ngombe will move a motion to transform Zambia into a 24-hour economy. This will be on the 1st of March 2023. Bills. The bills listed under will be considered. 1. The Zambia Qualifications Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill 17, 2022. This will be second stage reading, and the date for consideration yet to be determined. 2. The Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill 32, 2022, will also come for second reading. The date for consideration will be determined. G. Parliamentary Committee Reports. The following committee reports will be considered during the period: Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources. The proposal for Zambia's accession to the membership of the Global Green Growth Institute. This will be tabled on the 21st. This will be considered on the 21st February 2023. Then another committee is on Pan-African, the report of the Zambian delegation to the Pan-African Parliament for the meetings held during the first session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament held from 24th October to 9th December. This will be considered on 23rd February 2023. H. Questions. The honorable ministers will respond to 32 questions for oral answer as set out hereunder during the same period. The details of the questions are contained in this statement, which will be circulated to all honorable members and other stakeholders. Because of the number, this will be circulated. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the House Business Committee, and in accordance with Standing Order 1895 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021, I have the pleasure to present the business for next 2 weeks to this august House. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Matters of urgent public importance. The Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for according me this opportunity to raise a matter of urgent public importance. Madam Speaker, yesterday, the board chairperson for ZAMSA, Madam Annie Chifungula, announced to the nation that a medical equipment and drugs worth millions of kwacha had been stolen from the ZAMSA warehouse. Madam Speaker, this is coming at a time when the nation is grappling with medical shortages and equipment shortages. I therefore direct this matter of urgent public importance at the Minister of Health. Madam Speaker, the nation deserves to know how thieves accessed a highly secured warehouse where medicines for our patients are kept. How was it possible for thieves to access this warehouse and store and steal millions worth of medical equipment and drugs? Madam Speaker, I seek your very serious guidance on this matter. Thank you.
Do you have the statement that was, when was the statement made? Yesterday? On news, okay. Okay, I understand the statement was made on news. The Honorable Minister of Health is not here, but there's acting.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We will make a statement next week on an assigned date from your office.
Thank you very much. So next week, when is the next date, clerks at the table?
Thank you.
On Thursday. So Thursday next week, the statement could be made. Thank you very much. Order. Her Honor, the Vice President's question time. The Honorable Leader of Government, Leader of Opposition, sorry.
I receive that, Madam Speaker, in Jesus' name. Good morning, Your Honor, the Vice President, and welcome. Your Honor, the Vice President, the Chief Justice of Kenya once said, the greatness of nations lies in its fidelity to the Constitution. Your Honor, the Vice President, a Constitution contains safeguards and watchdog bodies like the Auditor General's Office to help keep government in check. Recently, two senior officers from Auditor General's Office were either dismissed or transferred in very suspicious circumstances. This move, Your Honor, the Vice President, brings into question the commitment of your government towards transparency and accountability in the face of cancelled hunting licenses, procurement of fertilizers, among others. My question, therefore, to you, Your Honor, the Vice President, is how will your government build confidence in the Zambian people and the cooperating partners insofar as accountability and transparency is concerned, especially that this move has been made at the time that the audit report that is expected covers the period under which the UPND has been in charge of governance. I thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member who is the Leader of Opposition, not government, Madam.
I don't know why the Honorable Leader of Opposition is always saying thank you, but I thought he was targeting the President.
He's looking for anything. The Honorable Member asked a question as to when government will build confidence in the Zambian people, cooperating partners. Of course, he has been very political in his questioning because he has run all over the place, many things that have been going on and according to the Honorable Member's perception. The issue of suspending, if any, or transferring people is actually one of the things that should make the Zambian people confident that the government is doing the right thing. Colleagues, you can't just sit if there is anything that you feel is suspicious. Neither can you go out in the name of transparency to start making allegations become real. At this level, when people are moved, there could be allegations. And therefore, the government has a duty to prove those allegations before they are made public, if that is what you call transparency. So this government is working within the procedures of government, that if there is an issue, you put people aside, they work from other offices, so that there is no interference in the evidence, Madam Speaker. This is what you do, not to go to court flying a flag, you. First move, when you are found innocent, you go back. That is what it is. Every person is presumed innocent. This is the fidelity to the Constitution. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, fraternal greetings from Nalolo. Your Honor, the Vice President, on the 12th of October last year, we brought a motion which I seconded. It was brought on by Honorable Sandy Chanda with regards to conditions of service for councillors. We are now, I think, 4 months plus down the line, and the JCTR announced that the cost of living has increased. For 5 people, it's now about 9,000. What is the delay with the Enumeration Commission to effect the increase of the conditions of service or allowances for councillors around the country? Thank you very much. And Your Honor, the Vice President, the people of Nalolo are still waiting for your promised visit. Thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Nalolo, and I receive the greetings, fraternal greetings. I also send greetings and assure the people of Nalolo that we will be there one day. We will visit Nalolo. The question is that according to the motion which was passed positively here on 12th October on the conditions of service for the, or is it service or just conditions for the councillors, what is the delay? That is the question. I think that we may not talk of delay. The fact that this motion was passed, Madam Speaker, one, there was no date fixed to it. And therefore, this House accepted that there was need to look at the conditions of service. But as to the actual date, we may not talk of delay when there was no fixed date. Delayed from that day or from which day? So when we are passing motions here, I think it is important to look at what it is. After all, the budget was passed by this House, including the Honorable Member for Nalolo. There is no delay. The Emoluments Commission will continue to work, and it's not a task for one day, because the Emoluments Commission will look at the entire nation. So we have to continue to wait and pray that indeed something is done for the councillors. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to interact with our Honor, the Vice President. Your Honor, the Vice President, Happy New Year to you. My mom, the internal audit function of the Republic of Zambia is a subject of direction by the Secretary to Treasury according to the Public Finance Management Act of 2018. The special audit report, which was done in 2019, which is the basis of transferring senior members of staff from the Ministry of Finance and the Auditor General, is an illegal audit report because it was not sanctioned by the Secretary to the Treasury. Your Honor, the Vice President, the transferring of those people is also arbitrary because there is no law, there is no government procedure which provides for transferring of individuals who are under investigation. Your Honor, the Vice President, why? Why is there so much affinity to abrogate the law by the UPND government? As we have seen in this case and in the illegal contraction of audits by the Ministry of Finance. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Order, order. Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Lunte, and I do acknowledge that is my son, who is asking with a lot of things. And a question like this, one, I'll answer it generally, because I may not have read the actual pieces of legislation that you have referred to, and therefore my answers may be general. My answer may be general. My response, Madam Speaker, is I think the acts is referring to, if they imply exactly what is saying, then I think that those are acts that are worth looking at. Because you cannot start binding. Maybe I talk of the illegality of the audit. I don't know how, I'm not privy to that illegality. Because I think that the documents that we have, the audit itself was completely within the laws. We debated the issues here. We debated in this House. But if you say there are laws that hinder government from transferring people, they have to do it in a special way, I may not respond to that. But the issue generally is that there is no person working in an institution of government who can say you cannot move to another institution. But I am also giving this part that I may not have read there. So maybe you can come to the office, you help me to read through that so that we can clarify. Yes, so that I understand. Because I need to understand whether there is such a law which stops government from transferring people like that. Otherwise, as far as we know, every government worker is transferable. And you are talking of transfer, I don't know who has gone where and what have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we listen to the answers, please? Can we have some order? The Honorable Member for Kabwe Central.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving people of Kabwe Central to ask the question to Her Honor the Vice President. Madam Speaker, our President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, said the statement that a hungry person cannot make a good political decision. Late last year and this year, we were really stressed as people of Kabwe because suddenly the price of meal rose and we had shortages. Now, I understand that Zambia is a liberalized economy and the private millers have got their choice. And their main aim is to increase profitability, and we can not control them fully. So I want to ask Her Honor the Vice President, is our government, the new Dawn government, have any plans to capacitate Zambia National Service, Zambia Correctional Service, by procuring more milling plants so that there will be increased production of milling meal, and hence we will be able to control the price of milling meal? Thank you so much.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Kabwe Central for that question and concern. And indeed, we all agree with the President on the ability of a hungry person in making decisions. Basically, you are saying the millers who are business people, they are being in business is to make profit, but sometimes they make the profit beyond what they need to. I think we have to agree with that. Except you say, when is government going to capacitate national service, correctional facilities by providing milling equipment or helping them to do the milling so that this can help us to bring the prices down? I'll start by saying this government believes in the private sector as the engine of our development. So number one, we will not crowd out the millers. because they have a right to survive. That should not be the intention, to have the millers out of business. But we have to know which millers are reasonable. That is very important. That particularly millers that access the subsidized maize, the maize that has been produced at a high cost to the Zambian people, to go and make that profit markup you are talking about. I think those should be left to handle themselves with the private sector among themselves. But for the FRA, the food that Zambians produced, it is important to agree with the millers that may work to help keep the prices in control, with the profit being made, but within the margins that are acceptable. As to the ZNS, I'm sure the honorable member knows that we have, is it 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks, I think the milling, the milling company, not a company, here in Lusaka, in Chongwe, was handed over, commissioned properly, and it is under ZNS. So we pray that they will do that. We have another milling company under ZNS in Mpika. We have another huge one in Monze. They are very, very big. And they are working truly, because they don't have to make any, profits that are abnormal. In Mpika, I think you remember that just about a week or two ago, they started selling their roller mill at 120. Because even them, they need that markup. But it should not be an abnormal markup. Yes, we will encourage them also to participate without actually tampering with the private sector. But you are a private sector miller. Work with us at a normal profit. Otherwise, you can procure your maize. And we will try to ensure that those who are producing maize from the subsidy of government also try to sell until we have bought enough through FRA. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. I'll give more opportunity to the ladies. I see they have indicated. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Lundazi this rare chance to ask Her Honor, the Vice President, a question. Madam Vice President, I want to report to you this morning that our people in Lundazi have no power. For more than 10 days, there are children in the hospital who are born prematurely. They are dying. There are mothers who need to undergo cesarean section. They are failing. Our businesses have come to a halt. They have challenged me this morning, if I was really elected by them, to ask you, Her Honor, the Vice President, that when are you going to connect Lundazi, Chama, Chasefu, and the other districts to the national grid, because it is so frustrating that the whole country, Zambia, is celebrating that the new dawn has ended, this load shedding, and yet our people are dying. Madam Vice President, we need a diligent answer or a good answer from you this morning. I submit.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that concern. But it is important also, as honorable members, thank you, honorable member for Lundazi. Except I must start by saying, let us not start by alarming the nation. When you come straight and you say babies are dying, I think that there should be evidence of such. Because we like to talk about people dying. I think the issue of power In fact, Madam Speaker, I should sit down because this becomes tedious. We are not going to continuously debate Chama, Lundazi, and power. We spent a lot of time, colleagues, you remember, throughout this week, with the minister responding to how the situation of power is being handled in that area. That actually the work has begun. I also listen when I sit here. That's why I sit here, to listen to my ministers and also the other honorable members of parliament. I think the minister was very clear that this issue has begun. We learned how the power from Malawi is not very consistent and not dependable. We learned. But it is unfortunate, honestly, my Minister of Health is here acting, that you can have a hospital where you can't have even a little standby, little generator to ensure critical areas like nursery can be connected when there is such an issue. Is that what it is? Then I will say here, the minister is listening. Such a situation should not be allowed. A little genset can drive power in critical parts of the hospital. So let us work on that. You can't just sit. And thank you for reminding me. Such a critical situation, you can't get a 500 to buy from your money. A matter of life and death. But I think government is working hard. It is not something you can do overnight. The program has already begun under the Ministry of Energy to ensure that those, I remember the 24 months that people kept arguing about, but that is what government is doing. Madam, Honorable Folundazi, the work is in process to connect. But in the meantime, critical as it is, do something. We can all support you here, that get a little bit and put up a genset to ensure critical parts of the hospital continue to run even when power goes. Thank you.
Thank you. The honorable member for Chikankata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Chikankata an opportunity to ask Her Honor the Vice President a question. Her Honor the Vice President, the good people of Chikankata want to know what short and long-term measures are you putting in place to fight the issue of flash floods in this country and other climatic changes that have brought challenges to this country? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the honorable member for Chikankata for that concern. I think it is a concern for everybody, particularly this year when we have had unprecedented rains in the country and a lot of devastation. It is important to ask, what is government doing to try and mitigate and indeed, in the long term, stop the issue of flash floods? Government has taken this very seriously, and there has been direction that let there be a redesigning of water harvesting. This water can be destructive, but it can also work for us. And therefore, the President has guided the different ministries that have to do with water to find the designs of how we can capture and use this water at the right time. It's a huge, part of our government that has been made to be put in the forefront of all the programs because of what we have seen. And also the need for water, the need for power. Why should water just run through our country and get to the oceans, particularly Indian Ocean, without us getting use of it? So in the long term, that is what will be done. The short term is literally to also see, we have experienced this year, where these floods, the roots of the waters, I think it is important that we start preparing early in the year as to how people will live during the time of such heavy rainfall. We we may just join you, Madam Speaker, in doing Kuomboka, at least short term. Thank you.
Thank you. From the Independence, the Honorable Member for Bwana Mkubwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Bwana Mkubwa a chance to ask our Honorable Vice President a question. Madam Speaker, the integrity of Office of the Auditor General is very, very important for this nation, and myself coming from the Office of the Auditor General. However, I wanted to find out from our Honor the Vice President, with what has transpired at the Office of the Auditor General, with the two deputies, one in charge of audits. We are at the height of audits in the ministries, and the people affected are the cornerstone at the office to carry out audits. What has been put in place to ensure that we have a good Auditor General's report, which, Madam Speaker, I think 3 of your committees, their work is anchored on that report. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Bwana Mkubwa for that concern and that question. I'll go back to what I said, that what is being done as far as I'm sitting here is the right procedure. The Honorable Member is concerned about the 2 auditors who have been moved away. That what then happens? Are we assured that the audit reports that are being carried on will come out in the right manner? That will be a failed situation in governance if an officer becomes the office. If an officer becomes the office. Because what it means is that you can't be the only one with that knowledge. That means any one of us can be replaced. What if it was death? Are we going to say bring them back to life? No office should be just left to one person. I am sure in government that we don't even lock offices, because anybody who walks in and is given the mandate to act in that office must find all the information available to carry on. If you can't find the information, then that shows the person who has left is the failure and did not do the right thing. So there are people, honestly, colleagues, there are people always to act. Today, this is not civil service, but it's just an example. The Minister of Health is not here. There was a question on the Ministry of Health, and the acting minister responded. This is just an example of how a government works. So, Honorable Member for Bwana Mkubwa, there is always somebody to act in that position. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and it's a pleasure to have our honor with us today. Normally, when we see our colleague, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, not here, we get worried twice to our boss now. It's good to have you.
Order, time is running out. Please, can you ask your question, Honorable Member?
Your Honor, the Vice President, I'll use your adage. When you hear people lamenting about something, there must be a cause. I'll draw you back to the issue of the Auditor General. Madam Speaker, this institution, for it to perform its accountability functions, largely depends on this office. And for that reason, I'll cite an article in the Constitution so that we are on the same page. Madam Speaker, Article 250, Sub-Article 2. The Auditor General shall not be subject to the direction or control of a person or an authority in the performance of its functions. Your Honor, the Vice President, why has your government in such a panic mode to start micromanaging the Auditor General's office to the extent of halting, stopping the internal processes of that institution to capacitate itself by identifying competent professionals through interviews? Why are we taking this route for the first time? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the honorable member for Shiwangandu, although he used the language I don't know. Apa Komaila Nondo, he should have interpreted that.
Yes, can we get the interpret? Can you stop the clock? Can we get an interpretation of what he said?
Madam Speaker, I'm surprised that my mother, our Honor the Vice President, has used this adage. The interpretation to this adage which she has used before is that apa komaila nondo nishpali ulema, meaning where there are serious lamentations about one matter, there must be a serious cause. That's a simple interpretation. And therefore, when we are complaining all about this issue of the Auditor General, the institution which we depend so much as legislature, there must be a reason. I thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you. Indeed. As a leader, you don't allow yourself to be led from the back. Then you are not a leader. A leader is supposed to be a path finder. There are things that are done that seem like they are bad because you don't know the full information. I am not claiming to have full information, but I'm saying leadership must be allowed also to move. I am answering this because of the adage that has been used. The fact that everybody is shouting, yes, you find out, do they have an issue? But if you are going to just hear because they are shouting, where my anchor of life is, you become King Saul. And you end up sacrificing because the people are crying, sacrifice now, when your instruction is from somebody else. At least, from the article that has been read, you say the Auditor General, I just picked because I can't say I can recite like you do, you were prepared. But you said that the Auditor General is not subject to the direction of another person or another institution. I can't remember exactly what you said. That is agreed with. Who is directing the Auditor General? No one, as far as I know. You are even talking of panic and micromanaging. Honorable, do you live in the Auditor General's office? How is government micromanaging? I haven't heard. Maybe that is something you can add, Madam Speaker. I've not heard that the Auditor General have been given employees. Because this is what you are saying when you say, why can't you allow them to identify competent people? I am sure that will be done when real vacancies occur in the institution, which is not the case now. Investigations may be going on, but nobody can say now we can put another person. The government does not work like that. If anybody is in the offices, the honorable member for Bwana Mkubwa talked about, is in their acting capacity, which is the normal way to proceed. Yes, there may be ulema. We will listen. We will also continue to see how we can make things better. But we will not micromanage, because this government is anchored on good governance, strengthening institutions of government, which includes the Auditor General. We want them to do a good job, and we will continue to do a good job. Nobody will be employed in that manner. I pray. I use the word I pray. Nobody will be picked, handpicked. You become the director. There will be a process which is normally followed if the vacancies truly occur. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Pongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask the question to the Vice President. Your Honor, the Vice President, government employed 30,000 plus teachers last year. When you go around the rural schools this time, you find that the number of teachers has been reduced. Most of them, they have gotten the transfer on medical grounds when they were certified fit during recruitment. Some have been transferred into urban schools. Are there any plans by the government to carry out human resource audit to take back these teachers to their respective schools so that we enhance quality education in rural schools? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Member from Pongwe, for that concern that after government employed 30,000 plus teachers, the rural areas are still short of teachers. That is a sad report, I must say, Madam Speaker, because I think we had agreed in the process of recruitment that, in fact, the people should be recruited from their areas of residence. I think that is what we agreed. So now to hear this report, I must admit that I'm surprised, except when you use one on medical grounds. That one becomes something which is beyond, for example, the Ministry of Education. But right now we are grappling, Madam, with finding transfers to make couples come together. We are struggling. How come that people who are employed just less than a year can be transferred anyhow? That is a concern for all of us, because people applied from their districts. So what has happened? My Honorable Minister of Education is listening, and it is important for us to look at this, except I can't tell you which method we are going to use, whether it is the audit of the staff or whatever, but it is something that is worthy looking at, because people agree they're working in Kaputa, and you are given that position because there is a vacancy in Kaputa. How come that suddenly you want to be in Kasama? I think it is something to follow up. That's all I can say for now, because I wasn't aware of such a situation. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, the policy consistency and coherent are key for government implementation of programs. This is to do both with the planning purposes for the private sector and the international community and the donor community that we rely on. Just last year in December, the government of the New Dawn had presented the national budget. And one of the pronouncements in that was to deal with the shift from the agriculture program called FISIPU into CASIPU program. Barely 1 month into implementing of that policy, the ministers, and there's been so many government pronouncements. One of the examples is the Minister of Livestock, that we will continue with FISIP. This is causing confusion in the private sector, both in agriculture and even in the international community. Your Honor, the Vice President, what is the government policy position on this matter regarding CASIP or FISIP. Which program are we going with this year? Are we reverting back to FISIP, or we shall introduce the new program called CASIP? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank the Honorable Member for Pambashe. How are you, sir? Great. I like his consistency in digging what we have said and what we are saying. It is part of checks and balances, we agree. Except maybe just to clarify, the FISIP or CASIP, Comprehensive Agriculture Program, even the title itself does not rule out FISIP. CASIP, as it is, Comprehensive Agriculture Program, encompasses other programs within. So I think it's an opportunity for me to say this in the simplest term. Even if we were to change the name FISIP, that means there will be a program of support to a particular type of farmer. And another type of, a program or activity to another type of agriculture. This is what CASIP means. This is what I understand of these two. I hope it is clear. We have not changed, sir. You can be assured that we are still steadfast. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Mitete.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. Your Honor, the Vice President, good morning. Checklist for New Dawn government, President Hakainde Hichilema, and you yourself, Madam Vice President. Number one, road shedding. Checklist. 2, student meal allowance. 3, the salaries for civil servants. 4, should I go or I end there, Madam Speaker? For the sake of time, let me end there. You may continue with the checklist. Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor, the Vice President, I don't know if you want to comment on the checklist.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam, I appreciate the question, and indeed, good morning, the Honorable Member for Mitete. Colleagues, this is this House, and we need to remind each other. Yeah. I had a reminder of what one member saw as a failed situation. That is okay. The other honorable member stands to show what he sees as success. Yeah. And I appreciate, Madam, that the honorable member ended at 3 points. Because if he chose to go on, we would take the rest of my time. Yeah. Thank you, Honorable. Yeah.
The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning from the people of Isoka. Good morning, Her Honor, the Vice President. My question is, the road from Tusunkani Market to Ntipo Secondary School and Mass Primary School has become a death trap due to soil erosion. This has occurred on the same road. The road is no longer a road, but a stream, especially when it rains, causing people and school-going children to fail to pass through that stream. Her Honor, the Vice President, my mother for me. Does government has immediate plans to help out on the challenges being faced by the people of Wisoka in the same said area. I submit, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President.
She is genuinely my daughter. I feel proud to be your mother. You hard-working, honorable member of Parliament for Isoka. Continue working hard. Uh, yeah, except the question, to be specific, I would not have an answer because I may not know exactly what is there. But when you talk of erosion, particularly this year, that is why it is our intention in the Office of the Vice President to come and issue a comprehensive statement on the status of floods. Because the rains have been so heavy, so much infrastructure has been, affected. But for me to talk about exactly this, I may not. But it also depends on how big this is. You could go back, because this is an emergency. If you consider it an emergency, we have money. My office has money sitting in your CDF, 5%. You can go ahead and use it on what you see as a priority. And this is a call to all honorable members. If the 5%, don't start using this 5% anywhere you feel. 5% is meant for such smaller disasters that could be handled by the 5% in your CDF. If you can, that is good. So please go ahead, but generally we will see what is happening in the area of infrastructure due to heavy rains and flooding. Thank you.
The last question will be from the Honorable Member for Pemba.
No, I haven't. Thank you so much. My question to Her Honor the Vice President. The local council or the local authority, they have a big debt to clear with the NAPSA. And 90% of this amount is to do with penalties. This is the bill which these local councils will never manage to clear. My question to you, Her Honor the Vice President, is the government have plans to help these councils, or rather to negotiate to waive the penalties, so that these councils will actually now concentrate on clearing the principal amount? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Her Honor the Vice President.
I didn't declare affinity. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Member for Pemba, whose concern is about the indebtedness of NAPSA, or of local authorities to NAPSA. And he asked whether government can help local government, I believe, to pay the indebtedness, or indeed negotiate to waive the penalties. I'll start by saying NAPSA is a pension scheme. And this is not where you play. This is playing with the lives of people. So when you say waiver, what happens to the owners of the money, Honorable? This I'm thinking while standing here. I think that would be a wrong way to ask local government to waive the penalties, because that is individual people's money. And they are waiting at their retirement, or indeed midway, they can access this. Where the government, central government in this matter, I'm sure that's what you meant, would come in to bail out local government, I cannot commit to that. But what is important is that local governments must ensure to meet their statutory obligations. This is a statutory obligation that they are supposed to meet. It is important that the Ministry of Labor is listening, and I believe the Ministry of Local Government is listening. And I am told that the penalties can actually be handled by reduction. But I am a background of a unionist. We want money as workers. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes that session. At least we have managed to have 13 honorable members asking questions. If we summarize our questions, we'll be able to accommodate more honorable members. Sincere apologies for those that have not been called upon. We hope to do better next time. Can we make progress? Question for oral answer, understanding order 74. The honorable member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 142.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Kalabo is asking the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock a question in 5 parts. A, what the cattle population in Western Province was as of February 2022. B, what breed of cattle there were. C, whether there are any plans to conduct a cattle restocking exercise in the province in order to increase the population and the breeds of the cattle. D, if so, when the plans will be implemented. E, whether the plans will be extended to all provinces. Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. In A, the cattle population in Western Province as at February 2022 was estimated at 483,030. In B, the native cattle breed in Western Province is Barotsi. However, due to cross-breeding with other breeds, the province has some crosses of Barotsi with other breeds, such as like Boran, Tonga, and Angoni. C, government has plans to restock Western Province. However, currently, restocking in the province is not ongoing due to high prevalence of contagious bovine pneumonia, CBPP. The House may wish to note that CBPP limits the increase in the population of cattle due to high mortality rate and reduced productivity. Indeed, once the disease is eradicated, the ministry will commence the restocking exercise in the province. In E, the stocking and restocking program will be prioritized in Western Province and other places where the eradication program will be undertaken. Once the cattle numbers are restored and the restocking program will be extended to other parts of the country. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. First of all, there's too much noise in the House. Can we concentrate and listen to the questions? Before we proceed, the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security has a point of order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm grateful that you have allowed me to raise a point of order pursuant to Order 65 of our standing orders. Madam Speaker, when we were discussing and debating under the window of Her Honor the Vice President's question time, Honorable Kampyongo and the leader of the opposition made a statement when they were asking Her Honor the Vice President, alleging that there is interference on the part of the executive pertaining to the operations of the Auditor General. And they quoted Article 252 of the Constitution, which I'm not going to quote, but state that it talks about the Auditor General being in a position not to be influenced by any person or authority. Madam Speaker, they conveniently decided not to take note of the provisions of Article 251 of the Constitution of Zambia, and I was going to be contemporaneous, but it's not allowed to raise the issue when Her Honor the Vice President is debating. Madam Speaker, are they in order not to have taken into account the provisions of Article 251 of the Constitution of Zambia, which states, and I quote, where the Auditor General is absent from Zambia or is unable to perform the functions of office due to illness or other cause, the President shall appoint a person qualified to perform the functions of the Auditor General until that appointment is revoked. Further, Article 53, 4 states that the Auditor General may resign from office or may be removed under the same conditions as a judge of the High Court. Madam Speaker, in their discourse, they are trying to show that there is no other authority that can take appropriate measures pertaining to the functions of the Auditor General. Are they not aware of these provisions that officers under the Auditor General can be removed? They have no immunity. The Auditor General can be removed by following the procedure. So, are they in order, Madam Speaker, to mislead themselves? To mislead themselves because the processes that have been undertaken by the executive are within the confines of the law. Are they in order to mislead themselves? The officers they are talking about, Madam Speaker, they have no immunity. They are civil servants like any other. Are they in order to mislead themselves and the nation because they are in a panic mode themselves?
Order, order. In view of the many documents that have been referred to, which I don't have access to, I will reserve my ruling. There is another point of order from, although I think it's on a different matter. There is another indication, point of order by the Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise on the point of order because this is very important, and this point of order is on the lead of the business of the House, representing the executive. Madam Speaker, it's very important that I'm accorded this point of order. Madam Speaker, I'm so grateful that we have KGS, Faweza, Comfort, keeping our girls in schools. Now, this nation has totally forgotten about a boy child. As I'm speaking, Madam Speaker, our children in Chiengi, boys, I recently toured most of the schools, the kind of resentment that is happening towards the girl child, and also some of the boys have ended up committing suicide because they're unable to access also quality education which is being accorded to a girl child. I need your indulgence, Madam Speaker, as to why our government cannot come up with a deliberate policy to also keep a boy child in school. I need your serious indulgence, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Honorable Member, the matter that you've raised as a point of order does not qualify to be raised as such. I think you have to find another mechanism to bring that issue to the attention of the executive other than through a point of order. Our rules are very clear on how a point of order can be raised. And I will refer to Standing Order 132. So the admissibility of points of order. A point of order may be admissible if it's raised immediately after the alleged breach occurs. It is brief and precise. It's raised in a civil language. It's not raised against a decision of a presiding officer. It does not relate to a general interpretation of written law. Now, that matter that you have raised, I don't know what breach has happened on the floor of the House to result in your point of order. Since there is no breach that you have referred to, it's a matter that is not related, it cannot be raised as a point of order. Thank you. The Honorable Member for Pambasha, you also have a point of order?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I have a point of order on Honor the Vice President. According to Article number 65 of our standing orders, the facture of the information relating to the question asked by the Member of Parliament, is it for on the issue of the NAPSA waivers and pension? Our Honor the Vice President, in responding to that question, she said, government cannot, against what you and what the executive did, because I sit on the Committee for Economic Affairs. Government, through the Ministry of Labor, Madam Speaker, brought the amendment of the ZNPF Act, which allows now the waiver of pensions and penalties depending on the complaint, and that waiver can be granted by the minister. And bearing in mind that there are a lot of companies that could have applied for that waiver, and after that bill was passed by this August House and assented to by the President. Now, our Honor the Vice President, being the second highest officer in the land, by stating that that is not applicable, I feel that may cause a lot of panic among the business community and the implementers of that law. So I just wanted to know whether it was in order for our Honor the Vice President not to have referred to the law that was brought last year in December that dealt with the amendment of the pensions or in terms of NAPSA bills. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. From what I heard, Her Honor the Vice President was saying she didn't have the information. And I saw the Minister of Labor trying to brief Her Honor the Vice President. So we cannot fault her. She didn't have the information. But I know that there was an amendment to that effect. So she was not out of order. She just didn't have the information on her hands. We can bear with her on that. Thank you. So we can make progress now. It was supplementary questions on the question that has been asked by the Honorable Member for Kalavo Central. The Honorable Member for Kalavo Central. Supplementary questions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to find out further from the Minister that number, which is an estimation of the population of animals, cattle, in short, for Western. Has that number been constant, or has it been on a frequent falling or rising? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. Madam Speaker, these are the issues that requires the leadership in Western Province to cooperate and give support to the ministry so that we sort out this issue of diseases in Western Province. Madam Speaker, coming to the question, the numbers of cattle population in Western Province are reducing. Just to give you an example, in 1998, Western Province, the population was at 675. Southern Province was at 650,000. Now, 2021, the numbers for Western Province have gone down from 675,000 to 483, where Southern Province has moved from 650,000 to 2.2 million. So the issue is about to understand the negative impact of CPPP. But when we try to bring strategies or interventions that will help the province to increase the numbers, it looks like the leadership do not understand. They keep on dragging the ministry backwards. But we have made strategies to make sure that all of us in Western Province, especially the leadership, to understand better interventions that will help and see the province increasing the numbers of cattle population. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kanchivia.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity, and Honorable Minister, thank you for the statement. I think of particular importance is how much money do we have reserved for this particular exercise, for the cattle restocking exercise, and which markets are we targeting, as we know that in investing in restocking of cattle, there must be value to be derived by the country. So which markets are we targeting? How much money have we provided for this particular exercise, not just for Western Province, but as the question goes to expand it to other provinces as well across the country? Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kanchivia, for that question. Madam Speaker, I will not be in the position now to give how much money is reserved for restocking. Coming to the issue of which markets are we going to provide to support our farmers who are going into production. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member may wish to note that as government, we have put all that which is necessary. First of all, is to look at the requirements, standard requirements that we are required as a country to meet, which is disease control, whereby we have put mechanism to make sure that issues to do with diseases in this country are put under control. That's the first factor which will make Zambia allow its product to compete even on the international market. Now, taking advantage of our neighboring countries where we feel our farmers can sell their products. One of the countries, Madam Speaker, is Angola, where recently His Excellency the President was in that country to sign trade agreements. And among those trade agreements that have been signed is livestock, where
we'll be selling our beef, our poultry products, our milk, all what we can produce as livestock. Angola is yawning. The market in Angola is yawning like yesterday. All we need to do is just to put our house in order under the sector of livestock. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Masaiti.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you did launch the stocking and restocking exercise in your constituency, in Wampa district, where you gave some chickens and goats. You went further, Honorable Minister, in your own words, to say you've put measures to control disease and that you had enough funding for disease control and management. You have programs in your ministry like OFID, eSleep, and programs from IFAD. Because you yourself had promised the people of Western Province that they need to improve their livelihoods and income. Then you said you'll give them cattle and pigs, which they're anticipating from you, from your pronouncement, yourself as minister. Now, when do you think you will get to these people and give them these empowerment programs through the programs you have in the ministry? Because they are so anticipating your promise. But today you've given a reason to say there's an outbreak of contagious bovine pre-pneumonia. Is that the reason? When you, again, in your own words, had indicated that you have enough funding for disease control and management. So the people of Western Province are expecting from you, especially the traditional leadership in the province. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member, for that important follow-up question. Madam Speaker, first of all, I want to explain that when we say restocking and stocking, we are talking of empowering our people in all livestock programs. And like the Honorable Member rightly said, that we were empowering our people with the chickens, goats, and other ruminant livestock. Indeed, that's very correct. We are helping our small-scale farmers with the ruminant livestock in the province. And the exercise is an ongoing program, because these are one of the things that can help. But when it comes now to cattle, we cannot empower our people in Western Province when we are still trying to put interventions to eradicate the disease. Because there's no way we can take cattle in Western Province when the disease is not yet eradicated. So my words still remain the same, that we still have, as a government, we still have good plans to restock cattle in Western Province. All we are doing now, we are battling it to make sure that CBPP is not in Western Province before we empower or we restock the province with cattle. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. A request through Zoom, the Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity, for giving the people of Chilubi an opportunity to ask about this question. Madam Speaker, on a lighter note, I would like to acknowledge that finally the livestock ministers bought into what I brought on this floor, the types of cattle, that's Toga and Balose, which refused that they don't exist. Having said that, I would like to ask that since the ministers indicated that in certain places, I think it may not just be Western Province, the numbers are reducing in terms of the cattle population. As the ministry ventured into a research to understand certain areas where cattle keeping can thrive,
For instance, I have in mind areas like Kaputa. Some time back, there was just a cultural connotation where people believed that you cannot keep cattle there because of flies. But when cattle is taken there, and especially that there is salt grass, I think those that are my witnesses can bear me that cattle is doing very well there. As the ministry ventured into understanding other areas where cattle, especially, I'm asking this in connection with part E of the question, which in my view, answered a bit casually that the rollout would be slow to other parts of the country. As the minister undertaken a research to see where there is disease-free and
Order, Honorable Member for Chirubi. There is a point of order from the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Madam, for the opportunity. Madam, I rise on a procedural point of order, which may not necessarily be related to what is stipulated in our standing orders. Madam, this is a question and answer session. I see that the Honorable Member of Chilubi is now debating the question that was raised by his colleague. Is it in order not to just pose a straight question to the Minister so that he can get the answer that he desires? I seek your ruling.
Thank you very much. There's this tendency for honorable members to ask questions, debate the questions, even answer their own questions, and then expect the honorable minister to answer. Please, when we are asking questions, let's be precise to the point. That way we save on time. So honorable members, you are encouraged to be precise and to the point and ask a relevant question relating to the question that is under discussion. The honorable member for Chirubi, please ask a specific question and so that we make progress.
I think my question is, have they undertaken research to see in which other places that cattle, rearing can thrive?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Livestock and Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for the Honorable Member to be specific, having been guided by the presiding officer. Madam Speaker, the places that the Honorable actually cited, I'm just coming from a tour of visiting some of these places to understand how are we going to increase the cattle population in this country. So our experts are in the process of making sure that we understand which other areas in this country that can do very well in terms of rearing cattle. So the province such as Luapula, Northern, and Mchinga, where we don't have cattle, because Madam Speaker, in the past, these people believed it's just umunani, just meat. So we are trying to make sure that we are trying to make sure that we give them the necessary information to increase in the understanding that the livestock sector is an industry, which, Madam Speaker, I would like to tell you that there's a great change now from these three provinces that I've mentioned, especially having learned some lessons from Honorable Member of Kachivia, because he has been my role model to help me pass the information in these provinces I've said. So as we are talking, Madam Speaker, the ministry is in the process of making sure that the entire country is zoned so that we even know where we can put cattle without these issues to talk about diseases and other factors that makes us fail to compete even on the international market. We are in the process, and I can rest assure my colleagues from these provinces that these provinces will not be the same going forward in terms of livestock production. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Minister is talking of stocking and restocking. being determined by the eradication of the disease CBPP. My question, Madam Speaker, to the Honorable Minister. This disease is a disease. In his own words, he said it's a disease, meaning it is caused. If it is caused, then it can be gotten rid of. How much is there the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock? How much have you prepared to categorically get rid of this disease, which was not there, but now there? How much are you prepared to get rid of this disease so that the restocking and stocking takes place?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. Madam Speaker, in the first place, I want to assure the Honorable Member that as a ministry, we are much prepared. We are much prepared in the way that there are few interventions that we have put in place that we are going to start implementing in this year's budget. First of all, I want also to correct the Honorable Member that this disease has just come now. It's historical. It is coming from way 1913, somewhere there. So it is a program of putting interventions that are going to help us to eradicate this disease. So as a ministry, we have established factors which are going to help us to control this disease in Western Province, such as, one, we need to revive the cordon line that we have felt as a ministry that this has been a source of CBPP from transboundary movement of animals. Secondly, we have decided to do the test of all the animals in Western Province so that those which are positive must be removed and help the farmers to restock the clean ones. Those are the interventions this government has put in place. And I want also to remove this notion of thinking that when we are taking the test and the slaughter program to help us eradicate the disease, it does not mean that all the animals in Western Province are going to be slaughtered. Madam Speaker, I want to assure the people of Western Province that, in fact, from the expert analysis that we have done, it's only about 10 to 15% of animals that are affected in Western Province. So when we remove the positive, this government will help to make sure that how do we bring breeds that are going to the production in Western Province. So those are the measures, Madam Speaker, we are putting in place to help the province increase the population of cattle.
Thank you. I think we have exhausted the question. I see there's more questions coming, but we need to make progress. You can continue engaging the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock. He's got a lot of passion for that subject. So we go to the next question. For the Honorable Member for Musanzara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 143.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. E.D. Darkham, Musanzara Parliamentary Constituency, Member of Parliament, to ask the Minister of Energy two questions. A, when the following infrastructure in Musanzara Parliamentary Constituency will be electrified? One, Chikuse Day Primary School, Monde Day Secondary, Msolo Day Primary School, Mwambula Day Primary School, and Sichirima Health Post. And B, what the cause of the delay in rectifying the infrastructure is. Madam Speaker, the answer to A is, according to the Rural Electrification Authority Master Plan, Chikuse Day Primary School, Monde Day Secondary, Msoro Day Primary School, Mwambula Day Primary School, and Sichirima Health Post are scheduled for electrification in 2024. Accordingly, the Rural Electrification Authority, REA, conducted a feasibility study in 2019 to establish the scope and cost of electrifying Chikuse Day Primary School, Monde Day Primary School, Mwambula Day Primary School, and Chilima Health Post in Msanzara Parliamentary Constituency and the surrounding communities. The scope involves the construction of 32 kilometers of 33 kV overhead lines, 14,000 meters of 400 voltage overhead lines, and the installation of 6 by 50 kVA transformers at an estimated cost of 25 million kwacha. However, with regard to Mwambula and Msoro Day Primary School, REA will visit the school this year to conduct feasibility studies and establish the scope of works and the cost of electrification. However, the subsequent electrification of the above-mentioned public institutions will be subject to the availability of funds. Answer to B, there has been no delay in electrifying the aforementioned public institutions in Msanzara Parliamentary Constituency and as indicated in A. These institutions are earmarked for electrification in 2024 and preparatory works are underway. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member from Msanzara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that answer. I think people of Msanzara will be waiting since you have indicated that it will be done in 2024. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. We can move to the next question. The Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 144.
The Acting Minister of Health, the Minister of Health, so she's back.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the question being asked is one, when the government will procure X-ray machines for the following health facilities in Pika district.
Order. As the time is 10:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
About to respond to a question that has been posed by Gwembe Member of Parliament, Mr. Zingili. He wants to find out when the government will procure the following equipment for Munyumbe Level 1 Hospital in Gwembe District. There's an X-ray machine and a computed tomography scan, and what the estimated cost of the equipment is. So after the break, we do expect the Minister of Health to respond to these particular questions. Matinda.
And yes, Claudette, so earlier on we had one announcement, and thereafter Her Honor the Vice President presented a business statement for the period 21st February to 3rd March 2023. And so details of these will be coming in later on. For now, we go on a break. Remember, business resumes at 11 hours. Good morning.
with Kamondo, and I'm married with 7 children, and I come from Northwestern. I'm a member of parliament for Mufumbwe constituency, which is in northwestern part of Zambia. And then I became a member of parliament the first time in 2010. I came through a by-election, and then after that I served for 1 year, 2 months. Then later on I went on a break. Then later I came in 2016, where I served again as a member of parliament for the same constituency from 2016 to this time around. And then I come from a simple background. Yeah, of course, I was born in 1966. I'm actually getting closer to a senior citizen now. My father used to be a miner, that is in Kalulushi. And then my mother comes from Nkana, which is Kitwe, and Chief Nkana. But my dad comes from Northwestern Province. And then when my dad retired, and that's when we settled in Kalengwa, which is in Mfumbwe. I started school at Chalbuka Primary School on the Copper Belt, that is Chambishmai. By that time it was under RCM, I think. Then later when he retired, we settled, which is in Mfumbwe. And I continued at Kalengwa Primary School, where I did my primary school, and then went to Solo East Technical Secondary School, where I did my Form 1 up to Form 5. And then from there, I went back home again immediately. By that time, I think we were those lucky ones that when you completed school, when they look at your results, then you are employed as well. Unfortunately, at that time, actually, I couldn't make it to the university. I wanted to become a medical doctor, but the chance could not allow me. Of course, my dad financially was not doing very well. So I decided just to go straight into employment. I worked for ZCF Finance Services for 2 years, and later went to Lilai to be trained as a police officer. And then, of course, I worked for some time. Later, I resigned and started my own things. Yeah, and then I've been doing my private business. Yeah, I've been an importer as well as a contractor and a retailer. Yeah, so as well as a transporter. So the rest of most of my years I've spent them actually doing my private business, and then until at a time when I was privileged to become a member of parliament. You know, my constituents actually, if there is someone who knows very well about the constituents, it's myself, because that's where I started work under ZCF Finance Services, where we were giving out loans. I was actually a credit officer. So Mufumbwe is a very big, one of actually the biggest constituencies in Zambia. We share boundaries with Nkeyema constituents, Mumbwa constituents, Kaoma constituents, Kasempa constituents, then Manyinga constituents, Solwezi East constituents, and part of Mwenyelunga. And then when you go deeper again, it's part of what is this? Of just one more constituency that I've forgotten. And then Mufumbwe constituency, as I said, is quite vast. From the first word to the last word, because we have about 18 words. From the first word to the last one, we travel for about 560 kilometers in one constituency. Yes, and then the other part, we call it the southern part, which is closer to Western Province. And then the other part is which goes to Zambezi, yeah, and Kabompo. Mufumba constituency also is endowed with a lot of mineral resources. As you may be aware, that is where we hosted one of the mines which had at that time a high-grade copper ore, that is Kalengwa mine. And that is where I was at that school. That is where I spent about 5 years or so, and I was a head boy at that school. Yes. However, Mufumba is also into agriculture. We grow a lot of groundnuts, maize also. Actually, this time we are also growing a lot of maize, and then we harvest a lot of honey. Or what we need is actually maybe to empower the people to produce more. Because before that, when I was working with ZCF, we had a program with IRDP, which they were empowering actually the beekeepers, and we used to produce a lot of honey, which was also even exported to UK and other foreign countries. And not only that, but also we have a lot of trees, the forestry. That is where you could find a lot of mukula, and not only mukula, but other species of trees. Yeah, though it's very difficult to say that sometimes you regret actually that you're coming from a place which has those natural resources, but the people, they do not benefit from those natural resources. So in short, actually, that is Mufumbwe. Also, we have 2 game management areas. One is Lunga National Park, and the other one is Kasonso Busanga. Yeah, so all these are potential areas that we can help us actually even to change the lives of people. I think in short, those are some of the few things that are there. And we also have actually a lot of water. We have actually Kabompo River, which is from town to the river is just about 12 kilometers. So in terms of irrigation, it has also a potential for irrigation and fish farming as well. My developmental agenda has always been that, first of all, I have taken actually education to be the first priority in my area. Because this is an area, you remember very well, there was a time actually when there was this issue to do with some liberation of some sort over Mr. Mushala. In fact, Mr. Mushala is my in-law. For us, actually, he was a great man, and we give him respect. He was trying to come up with his own core to make sure that at least we have this democracy that we are talking about. Though things were done in a manner which was not okay, but for us, he was a great man, and we shall continue remembering him for that. Yeah, because Mufumbwe has lagged behind for some time. Mufumbwe was actually made to be a bomber in 1978, but when you go there, it doesn't match with the years that it was given that status to date. So my agenda is to make sure that, because a lot of people at that time, there was a lot of actually army people going in the areas. So because of that, a lot of people actually could not even go to school. So even in terms of education, actually, at that time, people were lagging behind, because every time what they could see is the military vehicles moving into the area, which was quite scary. Yes, and then at that point, I think that contributed to a lot of people not going to school. And even if they went to school, actually they were scared that the police, I mean, in most cases they were quarantined at schools, and that is a place where maybe it was a bit of some lefty. Like I said earlier on, I would like to make sure that a lot of people are encouraged to go to school. And that is the reason why we had a lot of actually early child marriages, because a lot of people had no access. They had overgrown to an extent that they could not go back to school. But this time around, we've seen actually a lot of people being encouraged by the policies of the government which have come in so that everyone should have free education policy. That has encouraged us. And at first, we thought it was going to give us a very big challenge, because the classroom space became actually small. where in a class we could have more than 70 people. Now, with the coming in of the CDF, that has actually helped us to solve the problem. Now, we are putting a lot of money in building actually classroom blocks so that at least many people, we can cover as many people as possible. So that is what we are trying to do. Not only that, we are also trying to make sure that the mineral resources which are there, we are appealing to a lot of people so that we can have a lot of investors coming to Mufumbwe because we have got a lot of copper. And not only copper, there are other minerals actually that are not even being mined. So those that are willing to come to Mufumbwe, indeed we have the minerals. Also, we want to make sure that at some point our timber are not just exploited. We want to make use of the timber so that we produce enough desks so that, as you may be aware, the president said actually he doesn't want to see a child still sitting on the floor in the next 2 or 3 years. So we are also working into that. We are also trying to make sure that at least we have enough water points, which has been a challenge in the rural areas. We are also trying to make sure that we have enough actually health facilities. Those are some of the biggest challenges. Road network actually is one of the biggest challenges that we have. Also, to get to the other part of Mufumbwe, we needed a very good road network. And I want to thank actually the government that the acro bridges which were acquired are already in the country. So the only way we want government to help us actually to expedite the process to make sure that the crossing points are actually connected to allow actually smooth movement of the government officials to go on the other side. Because currently, if we have to go to the other side of Mufumbwe, we have to pass through Kasempa and other districts in order to access the areas which are near Nkeema and Kaoma. Now, if the road network, the old one, and the bridges were connected, it means that we are going to lessen the distance by almost 150 kilometers. And that is also going to help us actually even to supervise the other place. And also my plans are that maybe the best thing that we can do is to do the delimitation so that we minimize the size of the constituents. Imagine one member of parliament who has to cover about 560 kilometers within. Because today, if I were to start off from here to Livingstone, I only cover about 400. But now imagine on a bad road, you have to cover 560 to reach the furthest point. So my plans are to make sure that those things that I've just mentioned, within these 5 years, we tackle them. And if anything, maybe we should do 50% of this, because we have the CDF, and the government actually is determined to make sure that these developmental inequalities are lessened. So those are my plans that I have for Mfumbwe. And also, if we had a lot of investors coming in, the issue to do with the youths who are, most of them are unemployed, we are going to make sure that those youths are going to find at least something to do from the mines. And I want to also take advantage of this, even to encourage more. With the coming of the monies through the CDF, which is actually promoting skills development, that is also a very good move. And I'm also very happy to mention that at least we have sponsored so many from different actually wards, so that others are into machinery, equipment, training. Others are also doing bricklaying, various skills, which is going to prepare them so that in an event that mines opened in Mufumbwe, they will find actually jobs in those mines. And not only that, we are also trying to make sure that our women, our mothers, who are the most vulnerable, are also given some empowerment to buy some hammer mills, and also to not only buying hammer mills so that they can come up with crabs and also go into beekeeping, fish farming, and other things that can give them some money so that it can also change their livelihood. Bena Mufumbwe, tumitemu bingi atu anobe ba member of parliament wenu tusakwesegesa atu na nguvu yonse kumona kubambamba amakata jonse tunakupitamo tuyapwisha twatendekako kuba bintu bimo mina kwimitunda ikaba mama ne mayutsi bonse twinge mwamva mbaine tube apply CDF bamo bajina ukirenga mba kampeni mali kafakone pano I'm sure aba yomwamuna abako batambula ko kajali namona na yanweba mwafana mujina lusala kutamba enweso akwa Mufumbwe munanu lweze ngwa minyi yenu sen komana kanda ntala wika kuli nani kane kuli MP wika MP manu manina ko kunuhanjikila kongo echo chote na hanjika so nitweza ngwetu nyenu lingenu ko apply mbongo tuli najo ja CDF aze mbongo ja CDF mjini kwa sako hanganu lande ko tuigayo ni tuma tukonawa hanga tulinge kuchitua isena nikane kutwa macheno mukwa wakunani kane kukavipupu nawa tunese kani tachi jese so that hanga tumone ko chize mtutambula mbongo hanga tuwaiseoze mkwakwa government yenu ya UPND ili mekanawa ya handa haka inde ichilema kana zange kulinga mwenya atweswe kanda amona lamba ize twakumwena kuli akwetu hanga tuimone mfumbu ano yawe na mushimane yanweba twina kwimitundaika bonse tunamba ikala iko na rubaji nge mwaikala na ward development committee ubaye mwikale panshi nekumona kubambamba aya byonse binakimikataja mwaikala panshi omna kusaka kechibaye mupi basa kwimyambira mba ubaye kikanangane pano muyuke kubambamba anweba bene yen musa kwikaramba amba wabera munda yeulwana kinjiro so anweba mwitubule byomnakeba atweba tusakwingira monka mwaila kusaka kwenu.
Interrupted at 10:40 hours. On the floor of the House was the Minister of Health, who was just about to respond to a question that has been raised by Gwembe Member of Parliament, Mr. Simzingidi, who wants to find out when the government will procure the following equipment from Munyumbwe Level 1 Hospital in Gwembe District. That's X-ray machines, computed tomography scan, and in B, what the estimated cost of the equipment is.
And so the House is going to consider 10 questions for all answer understanding order number 74. So far the House has considered 2 questions. Still to come under consideration is question 145, and it to come from Mr. Kalimi of Malole to ask the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security whether the government has any plans to construct a police station in Mongwe district. If so, when the plans implemented, and if so, if there are no such plans, why?
We expect question number 146 to come from Kalawa Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Miutu, and he's directing his question to the Minister of Agriculture. He wants to find out how many cashew nut farmers there were in Western Province as of April 2022, and in B of the farmers above. And just now we take you to the floor of the House.
Pictures are coming your way. A quorum has not yet been constituted. As soon as it is constituted, business will resume. And the House is currently considering question number 144, which did come from Mr. Simuzingiri of Gwembe. He did ask the Minister of Health when the government will procure the following equipment from Munyumbe Level 1 Hospital in Gwembe District. That's an X-ray machine and the computed tomography scan, and what the estimated cost of the equipment is. And so we do expect the Minister of Health, Honorable Masebo, to respond to this particular question as soon as a quorum is formed.
We also expect the House to consider question number 147, and this question is coming from Mompika, Member of Parliament, Mr. Kampianga, and he's directing his question to the Minister of Health when the government will procure X-ray machines
When business was suspended, the House was considering question number 144 on the order paper asked by the Honorable Member for Gwembe. And the Honorable Minister of Health had just started responding to the question. May the Honorable Minister continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable MP, Mr. Kapayanga, asked the Minister of Health the question A, when the government will procure X-ray machines for the following health facilities in Pika District. 1, Chilonga Hospital, 2, Michael Chulufyasata Hospital, and 3, Mpika Rural Health Center. And B, what the total cost of the machines is.
The Honorable Minister, the question is 144 by Honorable Simuzingili, Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My apologies. Honorable Madam Speaker, the question asked by Mr. Simuzingili asked the Minister of Health, A, when the government will procure the following equipment for Munyumbwe Level 1 Hospital in Gwembe District. 1, X-ray machines, and 2, computed tomography CT scan, and B, what the estimated costs of the equipment is. Our response to these questions, Madam Speaker, as follows. A, I wish to inform the House that due to limited fiscal space, procurement of medical equipment for public health facilities countrywide will be implemented in a phased approach. Madam Speaker, the procurement of an X-ray machine for Munyumbwe Level 1 Hospital in Gwembe will, however, be procured this year, 2023, as it has been included in the 2023 Medical Equipment Plan. Madam Speaker, to the question 2, the House may to note that medical equipment is provided in public health facilities according to the level of health care and according to the staff establishment. Therefore, CT scan is a specialized equipment, so it is not provided at first level hospital. As at the moment, according to the staff establishment for a first level hospital, there are no specialists, doctors or staff to request for a CT scan or to conduct a CT scan and interpret the results. Therefore, government has no immediate plans to procure a CT scan for Munyumbwe Level 1 Hospital in Gwembe. To B, Madam Speaker, the estimated cost for X-ray machines and CT scan machine is as follows. 1, digital fluoroscope X-ray machine is costing 3.124 million kwacha. And for the CT scan machine, it is costing 13.2 million kwacha. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Gwembe. Can you kindly log in?
Apologies, Madam Speaker. Maybe that's the more reason we're asking for power in Gwembe. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Minister for the good answers. Honorable Minister, thank you so much, and we will be waiting for the procurement of the X-ray machines. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we make progress then? There's no need for further questions on that matter. The honorable member is satisfied. The next question, the honorable member for Malole.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 145.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honorable Kalima asked the following questions. A, whether the government has any plans to construct a police station in Mungwi district. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, if there are no plans, why? Madam Speaker, in responding to the questions raised by Honorable Kalima, I wish to inform the House as follows.
Honorable Kalimi. Kalimi, not Kalima.
Oh. Sorry about that, Honorable Kalimi. In responding to the questions raised by Honorable Kalimi, I wish to inform the House as follows. A, the government has plans to construct a Grade B police station and 8 housing units in Mungwi district. B, the plans will be implemented when ongoing projects are completed and resources are made available. Therefore, Part C does not arise.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, Honorable Member for Malole.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Sometimes we are becoming reluctant to ask some of this questions over the project, because always is when money is available. Minister, when are we going to have money? When are we going to construct the hospital, the police station? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
When this House appropriates the budget, Madam Speaker, for this particular police station.
Thank you. Further supplementary questions? I see none. We make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 146.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central asked the Minister of Agriculture the following. A, how many cashew nut farmers there were in Western Province as of April 2022. B, of the farmers above, how many were registered with and benefited from the Cashew Infrastructure Development Project, CIDP, as of the same date? C, what the total area of cashew nut production covered under the CIDP? What was the total area covered under the CIDP? D, how many cashew nut plants were planted under the CIDP as of that date? At A. E, what measures are being taken to assist cashew nut farmers in the province to enhance their production capacities? And F, when harvesting of the cashew nuts under the CIDP will commence? The reply, Madam Speaker, there were 59,439 registered cashew nut farmers in Western Province as at April 2022. B, all the 59,439 farmers that were registered benefited from the Cashew Infrastructure Development Project as of April 2022. Of these farmers, 52% are men, 32% women, 8% youth, and 7% female youth. So 8% male youth and 7% female youth. C, A total area of 70,075 hectares was covered under CIDP as at April 2022. D. 6.3 million seedlings were planted under CIDP as of the said date. E. Farmers are being trained in cashew management, disease identification and control, good agricultural practices, GAP in cashew field. Field hygiene and spraying of cashew trees is conducted when the period of spraying is due. Further, they are provided with financial and technical resources in the establishment of irrigated cashew nurseries at Simulumbe Research Station and the farmer training centers at Namashukende, Nangweshi, Galabo, and Simakumba, respectively, which are centers of mass production of improved and quality cashew seedlings. And F, Madam Speaker, harvesting of cashew nuts under CIDP has already commenced and farmers are currently selling their cashew nuts to the local market. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Kalabo.
Madam Speaker, I would have asked supplementary questions, but the situation as it is, I'm incapacitated. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll skip. The Honorable Member for Masaiti has a supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Acting Minister of Agriculture, with the number that you've indicated amongst the beneficiaries for the CIDP project, there is a hybridization method that has been standardized for breeding these cashew nut varieties, such as mutation breeding, molecular breeding, transgenic breeding, and molecular makers. Now, these beneficiaries, Honorable Minister, have gone out of their way to start breeding their own cashew seedlings, which will also affect production of these high quality cashew nuts. What measures have you put in place that these cashew nut operators who are producing these seedlings, which are not recommended for the project, what are you doing about this? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The question was quite limited in its scope in terms of numbers and other statistics that were being looked for by the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central. Suffice to say that there are interventions in place to protect the improved genetic material that is being promoted under the CIDP. And I'm also aware that there is work underway to increase the hectareage that is being covered and to increase the number of seedlings that are available so as to cover an additional 3,500 hectares of cashew. It is through these processes that the integrity of the crop in the region at hand will be protected. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member for Mpika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for according me this opportunity to ask a question number 149.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member of Parliament from Mpika has asked the Minister of Health the following question: when the government will procure X-ray machines for the following health facilities in Mpika District: 1, Chilonga Hospital; 2, Michael Chilufya-Sata Hospital; and 3, total cost is. Our response, Madam Speaker, is as follows. I wish to inform the House that due to limited physical space, Procurement of medical equipment for public health facilities countrywide will be implemented in a phased approach. Members will recall that in the budget of 2022, we had an allocation of only 196 million allocated for medical equipment such as X-ray machines, CT scans, beds, mortuary units, and the like. However, and thanks to the House and Minister of Finance, in 2023, the allocation was increased from 196 million to 600 million kwacha. Therefore, we will do better this year. And in that regard, ZAMSA has awarded a contract for the supply and delivery of at least 15 X-ray machines. The distribution of these machines will obviously be informed by various factors such as the level of the healthcare, availability of experts to operate the machines. Madam Speaker, as indicated, government has already procured an X-ray through ZAMSA for Chilonga Hospital, and therefore the delivery and installation of the X-ray machine is expected by the end of the first quarter of 2023. To question 2, Madam Speaker, the procurement of an X-ray machine for Michael Chilufya Sata Hospital will, however, be procured this year, as it has also been included in the 2023 medical equipment plan. To question number 3, Madam Speaker, the House may wish to note that medical equipment is provided in public health facilities according to the level of healthcare and also to the staff establishment. The staff establishment for a rural health center does not have a radiographer, and as such, the standard medical equipment list for a healthcare center does not include an X-ray machine. The government has no plans to procure an X-ray machine from Mpika Rural Health Center because it does not require one looking at the level of the health center. To question B, Madam Speaker, the total cost for the X-ray machines is as follows, and I hope members of Parliament can take note of these costs so that maybe within the CDF they may wish to consider purchasing X-rays for their hospitals. For a digital fluoroscope X-ray machine, it is at 3.124 million kwacha. However, for a digital non-fluoroscope X-ray machine, it is at 2.469 million kwacha. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Mpika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for the response and the procurement of those 2 X-ray machines. Honorable Minister, let me bring it to your attention that the Mpika Urban Clinic, rather, it's not a rural health center, it's an urban clinic. That's where the current broken down X-ray machine is. And we have staff that have been manning and in charge of the same machine. How then is it that in your report it states that there is no establishment when the broken down X-ray machine has been running? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. Madam Speaker, I will seek your indulgence because the question here reads Mpika Rural Health Center, not Mpika Urban Health Center. And those are 2 different hospitals. So maybe the Honorable MP made a mistake in the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. The Honorable Member for Kaumbwe.
On that one, the system that is put in place, whenever the funds
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, to allow the people of Kaumbwe to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Health. Minister, you have encouraged that we might be able to use the CDF to acquire some of the medical diagnostic equipment for our health centers. My question is, these health centers, the medical equipment is definitely allocated based on the healthcare service. Now, how would we allocate CDF to buy an X-ray machine to a rural health center, for example, the hospital, the clinic that is in question, when there are no radiographers at that rural health center, but we have the CDF. They don't have the technical personnel, but we have the money to procure the X-ray machines. Would the Ministry of Health send technical personnel to that particular clinic?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, here we are talking about medical equipment. And medical equipment would mean CT scan, it would mean X-ray machines, it could mean an ambulance, and so on and so forth. Now, Minister of Local Government and Government has prioritized health sector and has said that in the CDF, members of parliament working with their communities can decide on any priority. So, for example, they may wish to procure a mortuary unit if they think that's a priority for their health facility, or indeed an X-ray. But like I stated, we have health posts, we have rural health centers, we have urban health centers, then we have level 1 hospital, which is known as a district hospital. Then, of course, we have level 2, which may be considered as a general hospital or provincial hospital, and then we have the top, like UTH, which is tertiary. We have then specialized like cancer hospital or heart hospital, mother and child hospital. So all these various levels, they have been established, one, to cure or to treat specific diseases. And secondly, therefore, it means even the establishment that is allocated or approved depends on the functionality or functions they are supposed to perform. So you cannot talk about acquiring a CT scan at a health post level, because that's more like a first aid box, and you don't have that type of qualified, skilled health workers to perform that function, or let alone to operate a big machine like a CT scan. So CT scans normally will be found in bigger hospitals like UTH, and the like general hospitals like Chipata General Hospital. There you can find a CT scan, and you find people who can operate that kind of machine. But we are now talking about, machines like maybe ambulance. We are talking about CT scan. I mean, we're talking about X-ray machines. We are talking about thermometers. Those you will find that even at district hospital they can be operated, and even some large urban centers they can be operated. So that is what we mean when you say you can consider. It is up to you yourself to see which level and what machine you want to acquire. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mpika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and with your indulgence, I would like to correct that it is Mpika Urban Clinic, which we are actually renovating and re-equipping to some extent so that it becomes a level 1 hospital using a CDF. In this case, Honorable Minister, may I know what your response is in this case, that it is Mpika Urban Clinic, which actually is housing the broken down X-ray machine. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I thought the question is written, the question I have here is written Vika Rural by himself. And so if they are now updating it from being a rural to urban and making it bigger, that's a different story. And maybe he can put in another question relating to what he's asking.
Thank you very much for that observation. Honorable Member from Mpika, I think your question referred to Mpika Rural Health Center. And that's the question that the Honorable Minister addressed herself to. So if the status of the health center or the clinic has changed to level 1, you need to put in another question. So we can make that question as lapsed. We can make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member from Fue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 148.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ms. Mavonga, to ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development 3 questions. Whether the government has any plans to construct houses for civil servants in Fue Parliamentary Constituency. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, what the estimated cost of the project is. Madam Speaker, the response to A, government has plans to construct 43 housing units for civil servants in Lavushimanda district, where Mfue Parliamentary Constituency is located. B, the plans will be implemented once funds for the project are secured. And the answer to question C, the cost of the project is 38 million kwacha. However, the cost shall be updated at the time of tendering the works in line with the current procurement practices that consider the prevailing market price index produced by the Zambia Public Procurement Authority.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member from Fue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for the response. I wanted to find out if the same housing units have been segregated in terms of different government departments. For example, how many are going to the health sector, how many are going to the education sector? Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't have that segregation. However, what I've got is that there's 28 low-cost houses to be built, 12 medium-cost houses, and 3 high-cost houses. All these total 38 million kwacha. Submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chiluvi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The concern of people of Chiluvi is on the price index. In any case, you're not the one answering the question. The concern of people of Chiluvi is on the price index. The minister has indicated that the cost is 38 million kwacha. If you look at the prices, especially of the building materials, they seem to be rising every now and then. And I think if I got the minister well, there was no attached time frame to the building of the houses. I don't know how government is going to navigate around the time frame as versus the price index of building materials.
The Honorable Minister of, Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The normal process of tendering will be effected, and as indicated, the price indexing also helps in determining whether the project will be overpriced or within the budget, because Treasury has already authorized that this construction should take place. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Member from Fue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the concern is that the minister has responded that when the funds will be available, and he has not indicated like when exactly or what time frame are we looking at. Is it maybe 5 years from now? Is it 10 years from now? Is it 2 months from now? At least the people of Lavshmanda would appreciate if we would have an idea of when that project is likely to take off. Thank you very much, Madam.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, I don't have the actual time frame on this. However, I should be able to get back to the Honorable Member of Parliament as soon as I get actual dates from the Ministry. I submit.
Thank you very much. We make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With leave of the House, I withdraw the question.
Thank you. Leave granted in accordance with Standing Order 79-2. The question is therefore withdrawn. We make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chembe.
Question number 150.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Mpundu, Member of Parliament for Chembe, to ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development 3 questions. A, when the rehabilitation of Kasomalwela Road in Chembe District, which has stalled, will resume and be completed. B, what the cause of the delay in completing the project is, and C, what the total cost of the project is. Madam Speaker, the answer to question A is Kasomalwela Road in Chembe District underwent some spot improvement and grading works in 2018 by the Road Development Agency under FOS account. The improvement works which were envisaged at the time were completed and have not stalled. Answer to question B, initial scope of spot improvement works were completed in 2018. Answer to question C, the cost of the completed spot improvement works was 344,000 kwacha. I submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? Any supplementary? The Honorable Member for Chembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You have said that the works have not stalled, Honorable Minister. As the works there were not completed, and who was the contractor of that road?
The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, I don't have that information. All I have is that in 2020, a comprehensive sport improvement program, which was estimated at 16 million kwacha, was proposed on the entire 124-kilometer road passing Mansa, Chembe and Milenge district under Fosakam. The proposed works are yet to commence due to funding challenges. I'm sure when the situation improves, this contract will be honored. I submit.
Thank you. Any further supplementary questions? Honorable Member for Chembe.
Honorable Minister, money in government will never be enough. And just prudent that when you do the cancellation of a project, it's just important that you do a proper feasibility study before cancellation of a project. It's just a comment, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Since it's just a comment, we make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 151.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Mtachalo, to ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development 4 questions. A, why the rehabilitation of Isoka Chibare Road in Chama North Parliamentary Constituency has stalled. B, when the project will resume. C, what the total cost of the project is, and what the time frame for the completion of the project is. Madam Speaker, the response to those questions is A, the rehabilitation of Isoka Chibare Road in Chama North Parliamentary Constituency has stalled due to funding challenges. On B, the project will resume once funds are secured. And the answer to question C, the total cost of the project is 68 million kwacha with VAT inclusive. And D, the duration for the project is estimated as 24 months from time of resumption. I submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that response. First and foremost, I want to state that I think this question should have been directed to the Ministry of Local Government and the Rural Development, not the infrastructure, because this project is under the Ministry of Local Government, and I want to state that we were funded after I engaged the Ministry of Local Government. Tomorrow Investment did a good job on that road. What was remaining was 3 crossing points. And the Ministry of Local Government, they funded us with 12 million kwacha. And the works are progressing very well. Tazara is doing a very, very good job. So in the very few months from now, that project will be completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, the Honorable Member for Chirubi, you want to ask a question. The owner of the question is satisfied. What is the question? Supplementary question.
Madam Speaker, the owner of the question has complicated everything. I would like to state, because the question I was supposed to ask was to do with the infrastructure ministry, that he has taken it to local government. Yeah, but if that's the case, let me ask my question. Excuse
Proceed.
me. In the budget for 2023, there is 250 million for the roads, which is targeting 600 kilometers in the countrywide. And the minister said when funds are available. My interest would have been is that since the 2023 budget has got that 250 million kwacha, why not bank on the same, especially that you have given the period of 24 months as completion period? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of, Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think there's a bit of confusion with my honorable member for Chilovi here. Already, the Ministry of Local Government is undertaking 40 kilometers of the 250 kilometers that is already allowed for in the budget. Available. And we should be mindful that the initial contract was terminated at a progress of only 18%. So the local government has gone in and they are going to rehabilitate at least 40 kilometers of the main road. Yes, I submit.
It appears we have exhausted our order paper, and the government chief whip adjournment.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House do now adjourn.
The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House? Is now adjourned.
Good morning. There you have it. That note brings us to the end of today's live broadcast. Today, Friday, 17th February 2023. And so before we go, we'll have a quick look at business that was considered on the floor of the House. We did see our honor the Vice President indicate business that will be considered on the floor of the House in the next 2 weeks. That's starting next week, 21st February to 3rd March 2023. And we'll just look at some of the highlights that the Vice President did mention, Matinda. She did say that His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema will on Friday, 24th February 2023, address the House on the progress made in the application of national values and principles contained in the Constitution. The Vice President also did mention that rather she is going to move a motion herself to suspend standing orders. This is in order to facilitate for the live address that His Excellency the President will make next week on Friday, that's the 24th of February. And there's going to be 2 motions that will be dealt with next week and the other week. A motion to be moved by Kanchiya MP on the 22nd of February titled Promote Countrywide Breeding of Niloticus tilapia, and we also expect Kamsinsa lawmaker Mr. Kangombe to move a motion on the 1st of March titled Transform Zambia into a 24-hour economy. 2 bills will be considered in the next coming 2 weeks. That's the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022 at second reading stage, and the other bill will be the Zambia Qualifications Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2022, which will also come at second reading stage. So those are just some of the highlights that Her Honor the Vice President did indicate starting next week, Tuesday, 21st February to 3rd March 2023.
And yes, Claudette, we also had an announcement by the Honorable Madam Speaker. She informed the House that the Population Council of Zambia, in conjunction with the World Health Organization and the Partnership for Maternal, Newborns and Child Health, has been authorized to hold a half-day seminar for all honorable members. The seminar will be held on Wednesday, 22nd February 2023, under the theme The Role of Parliamentarians in Improving Women, Children and Adolescents' Health, including nutrition. And so the seminar will be held in the auditorium here at Parliament Main Buildings, starting at
question time, a 45-minute segment that gives members of parliament an opportunity to ask our Honour the Vice President questions without notice. The House went on to consider 9 questions for oral answer understanding order number 74. Question 149 was withdrawn. This one was supposed to be asked by Gwembe lawmaker, Mr. Simuzingiri. Just about now, we'll go through some of the questions and responses that were considered on the floor. The House Understanding Order number 74.
And so one of the questions that has been considered on the floor of the House today is question number 142. And this question came from Kalawa Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Miuju, and he directed his question to the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock. He wanted to find out what the cattle population in Western Province was as of February 2022, and in B, and see if there are any plans to conduct a cattle restocking exercise in the province in order to increase the population and the breeds of the cattle, and in D, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and in E, whether the plans will be extended to other provinces. And so we saw the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock answering those questions. He responded to question A as the Minister. He responded to question A as the cattle population was estimated at 483,030 cattle, and he responded to question B as the breed of cattle that were there is Barose. We also saw the Minister responding to question C as government has plans to conduct a cattle restocking exercise in the province. And so the Minister went on to say that once the disease is eradicated, the ministry will commence the restocking exercise. And so he responded to question E as the stocking and restocking program will be prioritized in Western Province and other places.
Question 143 did come from Mr. Daka of Msanzala. He did ask the Minister of Energy when the following infrastructure in Msanzala Parliamentary Constituency will be electrified. These include Chipuse Day Primary School, Monde Day Secondary School, Usolo Day Primary School, Mwambula Day Primary School, and Sichilima Health Posts. And in response, the Minister of Energy, Mr. Kapala, did say that this infrastructure will be electrified. That's next year in 2024. In the B part of the question, the Member of Parliament from Sanzala wanted to find out what the cause of the delay in electrifying the infrastructure is, and the Minister did say that there hasn't been any delay and that the project will take off next year, 2024.
The House also considered question 151, and so this question came from Chama North, a Member of Parliament, Mr. Mtaya Chalo, and he directed his question to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. He wanted to find out why the rehabilitation of the Isoka Chivale Road in Chama North Parliamentary Constituency has stalled, and in B, when the project will resume, and in C, what the total cost of the project is, and in D, what the time frame for the completion of the project is. And so the Minister did respond to question A as the works have stalled due to funding challenges, and he responded to the B part of the question as the project will resume once funds are made available, and the total cost of the project is 68 million kwacha. And so he responded to the D part of the question as the estimated time frame for the completion of the project is at 24 months.
Mr. Kalimi of Malole did ask the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security a question in 3 parts: whether the government has any plans to construct a police station in Mungu district, and the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security did say that government has plans to construct a Grade B police station, and when the plans will be implemented, the Minister did say that the plans will be implemented once funds are made available. And so that's just a snippet of some of the responses that were considered on the floor of the House. That's 9 questions for oral answer understanding order number 74. And that note brings us to the end of today's live parliamentary proceedings. Remember, we're back next week on Tuesday for more. Thank you for your time, and do have a great weekend.
The good times rolling? Then pay and get bump